This is why I'm a fan of posture muscles. So the autonomic nervous system is partially controlled by the posture that we hold. The autonomic nervous system is what's going to keep us healthy. It's what's going to keep us linked into our circadian rhythm. It's what's going to get us back on our hormone game, hormone flow. And if you have weight to lose, you're likely struggling with your brainwave states. So this is why I'm always talking about sleep and sunlight, and why the food is important too, because our brain, our bodies are constantly giving off hertz frequencies. If you know, this is why we have the capacity to plug something into an outlet, because that outlet is putting out a charge that's allowing us to use like a charger, or anything that we want to plug in and use power for. Our bodies also have an incredible amount of power coming from them. This is why we can use solar energy, right? We can sit in the sun and collect the rays of the sun, the energy from the sun, and then literally like expand that out in a different type of energy that allows us for more compassion and empathy for others, and to feel more connected. The more energy that we have in our bodies, the more we are able to connect with the earth and everything that is around us. And part of that, a lot of that, is the brainwave states. So we go through these states different times in the day. The biggest thing we always talk about is this testosterone and cortisol balance. So if one of those is higher, the other is going to be lower. Yin and yang. If your cortisol is higher, we live in a place where everybody is dealing with overstimulation, high cortisol rates. And right now it is so important to know that we are experiencing so much solar flares from the sun. There's a YouTube channel that you guys should check out. It's a geophysicist. His name is Stefan Burns. Look him up on YouTube. You can see how we track the amount of solar flares coming from the sun, and it is affecting our hormones. It's affecting our cortisol rates. So our cortisol rates, it's going to be challenging to be grounded at this time. How do you ground in an ungrounded world? We struggle from staying in the grounded state. The grounded state is the opposite of inflammation. So we're looking at opposites, right? Cortisol, testosterone, positive and negative. Positive, inflammation. Negative is the grounded state. So we have to focus on how do we get back into these healthy rhythmic frequencies. So most people who are elevated on those high cortisol rates they sit within the higher side of the beta frequencies. So this is, if you notice, it says alert and focused. What is overstimulation? So if I drink a lot of caffeine, it's going to overstimulate me, right? My sympathetic nervous system, my cortisol, my adrenal glands are going to be overstimulated, right? And to be stimulated, it's fine. To be alert and focused is fine. To have caffeine and to use that, like I use it for a pre-workout, I use it to enhance my ability to read a little bit faster, makes me a little bit sharper, you're using it wisely. But when we are abusing this sympathetic state, when we're getting stuck in that chronic sympathetic state, we are not able to get into these other wave frequencies as well, right? When we face adrenal fatigue. So how do we step back and come out of that? How do we get that deep relaxation and rest? It's all about the circadian rhythm. This is why I constantly talk about getting in the sunlight in the morning, allowing the free energy to be a part of your body. We know that when we go into the sunlight, we create the most melatonin. Melatonin, we create nitric oxide, allows our blood vessels to dilate, but melatonin is lined up with our delta wave frequency, right? So when we have our delta wave frequency, that's correlated to deep sleep, deep restorative sleep. I know so many people that go to sleep at night and they don't rest. What's the point of going to sleep if you're not resting? The whole point of getting more into the circadian rhythm is you're actually relying less on sleep at night. It doesn't become like you can repair faster. Same thing with meditation. When we meditate, we slow down our respiratory rate, and it slows down and allows us to get into an alpha wave frequency, right? This is a lower hertz frequency. We're awake, but we're relaxed. We experience the alpha wave frequency right before we go to bed, right when you're about to drift off, and then right when we wake up, when we're not so alert yet, and then when we're drifting off to sleep. Notice this is around the fasted state. I always say the fasted state is sacred. This is why. Sacred. We want to be able to go through the alpha wave states when we're going to sleep, the theta wave, the delta wave. These are our deep restorative sleep. This is if you're going to build muscle and lose fat. You want the brain to get swished out too by the cerebral spinal fluid. So we want there's so much that happens during sleep We've got to prioritize the circadian rhythm as a whole. But theta waves too, if you start to get good at meditation, and even like, this is why I mentioned posture muscles. Posture muscles are so important because literally I don't have the awareness to regulate my respiratory rate, to regulate my posture. I wish I possessed the awareness. I lack the awareness like most people, right? I try to automate it. I want to automate the autonomic nervous system, which is already an automatic process. I want my heart rate to be lower, right? I want my heart to work as efficient with each beat instead of working 10 million times faster, right? We have a lot of heart disease. We have a lot of dis-ease in the body, disharmony. The body has to work harder. And that's the same thing with overstimulating the body. So we know when we exercise, we are intentionally stimulating the body. These are positive stressors. When I go into the sunlight, I'm intentionally stressing the body, but it's going to allow me, right? Sunlight, melatonin, delta wave. It's going to allow me to get more into the relaxed state. The more we practice stress, the more relaxed we can be. But these brainwave states, guys, they're so fascinating. You know, we know so much about them, and like our diet is dependent on this. We just talked about how the higher beta and the higher beta wave frequencies are related and correlated to higher levels of cortisol. So what did we talk about with these aminos and fatty acids? You want to make sure that if you want to be able to get your body and to get those brainwave states a little bit more in line, that you got to make sure that you're eating the proper nutrition so that your cells can feel that they are in a safe space. When your cells are in a safe space, they are vibrating at a frequency that is going to allow your brain to vibrate at a certain frequency. And we definitely want to get those delta waves. The delta waves and the melatonin, those decrease as we age. We know that our nervous system functioning, our ability to regulate the autonomic nervous system decreases as we age, right? What happens when we all get older? We lose our functioning of our hormones, right? Our skin gets wrinkly dry, right? We become more dehydrated. But if we understand how the stress responses work, if we understand how important the circadian rhythm is, how important the diet is as a whole. When I say diet, it's not just food diet. That's mainly like sunlight too. We make vitamin D, we make melatonin. Our gut bacteria are happier when they experience the sunlight. You know, man, it's so beautiful. It really is so beautiful how everything is connected. Absolutely. But like, if you're struggling with autoimmune issues, if you're very sensitive, gotta focus on putting muscle on the body. When we put more muscle on the body, that's our storage form of the amino acids on the human body. We are so incredible, right? We store energy in the form of amino acids and muscle. We store it in the form of minerals and bone, right? What is osteoporosis? Osteoporosis is the body is taking nutrients from the bone, stored nutrients from the bone, because it's not getting enough on a daily basis. This is again why the amino acids and fatty acids are so important, especially if you're older, So as always, a few resources. Check out Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who's the queen of muscle health and getting enough protein as you age. She is amazing. They have Carrie B Wellness on Instagram too. All these people on Instagram, probably on YouTube. Carrie B Wellness talks a lot about sunlight and the structuring of the water and the hydration. Again, we're kind of like collectively learning about hydration. Hydration is not just the water that we drink, it's the minerals that we intake. The balance of the charge of the cell depends on calcium, magnesium, potassium. So it's really important that you understand that hydrating around this highly ungrounded period of time is so important. It's so important to get nutrient-dense foods right now with all these solar flares. So check out her, the Stefan Burns guy, and then always Dr. Mary Newport. Her work on neurodegenerative diseases, specifically Alzheimer's, is fascinating. If we can learn about Alzheimer's, if we can learn about diabetes, which is diabetes type 3, if we learn about diabetes, type 2, type 1, all of it, we can understand the body more. So I wish you luck, as always. If you want to donate, I would very much appreciate literally any amount. I'll put my Venmo down below. Work really hard to try and read and research And this is what I love to do. So I hope that this video was helpful for you in some way. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe. And good luck.